The housing market is not crashing, nor is it booming. It's locked in. People are staying in their homes longer than ever before in modern history. Here's what's important to understand. It's quietly keeping home prices elevated, and this locked-in effect is likely to last for years. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, it's so important right now to understand what's happening. In this video, I'm going to share with you why this happened, who it's affecting the most, and most importantly, an opportunity to move that you probably didn't know existed. You see, the average homeowner now stays in their home 8.6 years. For decades, it was 5 to 7 years. But what changed? Why all of a sudden are we seeing people stay in their homes almost 9 full years before moving? Was it job stability? Was it mobile moving? No, it was none of that. It was mortgage interest rates. You see, for 14 years, mortgage interest rates never went above 5.25%. As a result, a lot of people are now stuck in their homes. And once you see the math, it all makes sense. It makes sense because when you look at the numbers, a $400,000 house at 3%, $1,700 a month. A $400,000 house at 6% is $2,500 a month. That's an $800 per month difference. $9,600 a year, just in the difference between $400,000 at 3 and $400,000 at 6. So you can see how people are less inclined to move, more inclined to stay in their home. But how is this affecting home prices? You see, people assume with higher rates we would see a crash. Higher rates, lower affordability, crashing housing market. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that because that only works when the inventory is high. And right now, we're in a lockdown. People aren't moving. As a result, we're not seeing a housing crash, we're seeing a housing freeze. But here's where it gets serious and who it affects the most, and that's first-time home buyers. 21% of all the homes purchased 2025, 2024 were first-time home buyers. And while you're probably thinking, what's the big deal about that? You have to understand that for decades, the percentage of buyers that purchased homes were first-time home buyers was 39 to 40%. In addition to that, we've got the median age of a home buyer is the highest it's ever been at 40 years old. And please understand this, that not since 1981, when the interest rates were 16%, have we seen such a low percentage of first-time home buyers. But if you're a buyer out there, a first-time home buyer, you've never owned a home, comment, tell me what you think. What's your frustration? What are you seeing on the market? Is it prices or interest rates? You're probably thinking both, because in the headlines, there's been talk of a 50-year mortgage, there's been talk of stopping corporations from buying houses, but at the end of the day, you have to look at the homeowners living in the houses. If the homeowners don't move and the money just doesn't make math, it just doesn't make any sense. But there's an even bigger question than that. That question is, what's going to unlock this market? What's going to make this market move? One, you got to consider interest rates. They're going to have to fall drastically. They've dropped a little bit, but not enough. Two, you have to know that people have to have a purpose significantly to move. Death, divorce, job relocation. Three is just economic pressure. Loss of job, losing houses, have to sell their home. We're not seeing that either. Some places, yes, but you have to understand the majority of the people in the country are sitting on a lot of equity. As a result, we may be sitting in this housing freeze for some years to come, but how does that affect a housing crash? I can tell you, if you're a buyer, stop waiting on a 2008 style housing crash. This market is structurally different. You have to focus on motivated sellers. And right now, there's not a whole lot of those because people are sitting on a lot of equity. You also have to look at new construction. You have to look at rate buy downs. You have to look at assumable loans. If you've got a lot of money to put down, people don't realize that if you've got 20% to put down instead of going and getting a new mortgage, you may want to ask that seller if you can assume theirs, because you have to do a qualifying. You have to qualify to show their lender, and it's a process to do, but it can be done. But that's an option for you if you're thinking about buying. And listen, you have to do you and you be happy. My name's Wayne Turner. I've been a real estate broker. I've helped thousands of people buy their homes and sell their homes. I've bought, flipped, done everything when it comes to real estate. Brokered, owned companies. I just share that information with you so you can know and understand and have confidence that what you learn from me is actual real life experience. Stop waiting on a housing crash. I know a lot of people out there, these YouTube channels, they fearmonger, and they're making $20,000 a month because it's clickbait. The reality is you got to listen to somebody that's boots on the ground, hands on, doing it every single day, because the majority of inventory in every single city across the country, the housing inventory is lower than it's been in years. And please know, I am certainly not trying to upset anybody or make anybody mad. This is just the facts. If you're a homeowner, you're sitting on a good bit of equity. You're building equity. A lot of people are like, well, Wayne, why would I move? I got a 3% or a 4% rate. That's all fine and good until you put the pencil to the paper and you look at your debt ratio. That's where you start questioning things. You see, credit card debt's the highest it's ever been in this country. The average household has about $13,000 in credit card debt. The average person carries about $6,700 in credit card debt. You also have to look at the average new car is $50,000. It went up just like houses. When you kept rates so low for so long, people have such low rates on boats, houses, motorhomes, all that stuff. As a homeowner, how it affects you is you have to understand that you can sell your house, use the equity in your home to purchase another house, and you can pay off that debt. A lot of people aren't aware of that. So you have equity in your home. You don't have to get a home equity line of credit. You don't have to get a second mortgage. You don't have to do anything. You can get approved for a mortgage and tell the lender, hey, I want to take some of my equity. I'm going to make $100,000. I got $40,000 in debt. I want to pay $20,000 off on a car, medical bills, whatever it may be. That way you can take that money, still put money down, get a conventional loan. Now you may have a higher rate, but this is where you have to put the pencil to the paper. Look at your credit cards, look at your debt, and if you remotely want to move, or you thought, man, it'd be cool to have a pool, or I want to move up to a house that has a garage because I'm tired of scraping the windows in the winter, whatever that purpose may be, you have to look at what are you paying on a monthly basis in all this debt. 15, 20, 25% in credit card, maybe you're paying 7, 8% on a car. The opportunity exists, and people just aren't aware of that. They think, well, I got to pay this off. How can I ever move? I got equity in my house. I got to pull out my equity. How do I pull this money out? Because what I paid for it now, what it's worth. It's real simple. You talk to a mortgage lender and you tell that lender, I want to take X number of dollars that I make from my house because here's what it's worth and I want to pay off my debt. And then you can literally do that the day that you close. You put your house on the market with a really good real estate broker. You go find another house and you move. You close on the home that you sold. You close on the home that you buy literally the same day. You move from the house you sold to the house you're buying. And at the closing table, from the equity of the sale, the closing attorney takes the money and pays off your creditors. You now have no debt. You get the keys to your new house and you can move. That's just another option. I tell people, you do you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just here to give you the best information so you can make the best informed decision when it comes to real estate. You see, for anybody thinking about buying out there, there's more loan options available than ever before. Now keep in mind, you have to qualify. Some you have to put a little bit more money down. But just a prime example, a USDA loan, if you want to be on the rural outskirts, like where I live, right here, I'm 45 minutes from New Orleans. There's literally like 4 or 5 Starbucks, Walmarts and Lowe's and Home Depot and all this. Like everything's around me. But yet it is a USDA market. Anywhere in this county, parish, you can go buy a house through USDA. Got to have a 620 or higher credit score, 2 years on the job, and they look at your debt to income ratio, what you have coming in and what's going out. Can't emphasize enough, got to have a 620 credit score, and they will look at all of that. Just make sure they do a soft pull, not a hard pull. If you need a lender recommendation, you can go to contactwayne.com. We'll reach out to you. We can refer you to lenders that we work with all around the country, but that's another option. Another option, in addition to that, is FHA. You can go to FHA's 3.5% down. FHA, seller can pay your closing cost on USDA and on FHA. Your closing costs are always going to run you about 3.5% to 4%. It's usually never more than 4%. The seller can pay that, and oftentimes they do, but you also must understand that if they're going to pay your closing costs, they're usually not too hard pressed to come off the price. So you may have to give full price for the house, but in addition, you get to keep some of your cash to buy furniture or just to have a little bit of a nest. The other is conventional. You go to conventional loan, so many people think, well, I got to put 20% down. You only need 5% down to do a conventional loan. If you have 5% down, you could do a conventional loan. Your credit score has to be around 630, 640, and they're still going to look at what you have coming in, monthly income gross, what's going out, and then they look at your debt to income ratio, and there's a percentage factor that they factor that in. If you're a business owner, for example, and they look at your gross deposits, like so many business owners write so much information off and so much stuff off. I've been self-employed business owner for 30 years. I completely get it. And you write a lot of stuff off. There's new loans out there where you literally have all of your deposits. They look at all of your money deposits. They divide that by 2, and then they divide that by 60. And that's your gross income. So whatever you're making out there, if you're a business owner, you made $1 million last year, they're in deposits. In other words, you're selling pizzas or washing cars or whatever it may be. And you take all of your deposits that you made, you can show, look, I made $1 million, I'm a deposited $1 million in money last year. They'll divide that by 2 and then divide it by 60. That's what they use for your gross income to qualify you for a house. Let's just say you're retired and you have $300,000, but you're living in an apartment, you never bought a home. and you've got money in a 401k, you've got money in crypto, it doesn't really matter. You got money in precious metals, it doesn't matter. They look at the value of that, and then they take and divide that by 37, and that gives you your gross income that you qualify on. So there's so many opportunities and so much information out there. I just tell people, work hard, get your debts down, pay off your credit cards the best you can, get radical about it, because listen, you have to understand this. You're going to be 65 one day, and when you're 65 years old, you need to have a home that's paid for. The average price of a home right now in the United States is just under $500,000. What do you think it's going to be in 20 years? Home prices aren't going down. We're in a stable market, a really stable housing market, and they're not coming down. So that $500,000 house today in 30 years is probably going to be worth $850,000. So it's so important, if you can, just buy one house. And if you just want to sit in that house for 30 years, you'll have a paid-for house. And if you got to pay $6,000 a year in property taxes, divide that by 12. I'd much rather pay $500 a month in property taxes than $2,500 a month in rent. So please do me a favor. If you've liked this information, give me a thumbs up, share it with somebody, click the share button and share it. If you're a subscriber to the channel, I am more than grateful. We're like 540,000 subscribers, and I'm just amazed by that, because my ultimate goal is to help as many people as possible. I'm not paid to do this. Nobody makes me do this. It's just something that I want to do, because I'm a big believer in whatever you're doing out there. You learn it, you master it, and then you teach it. You share that information. Until next time, thank you for watching, and may God bless you.